Moses was a good man who lived in Egypt. The Egyptians had made the people of Israel their slaves, and they were very cruel to them. Moses grew up in the Pharaoh's palace, but he felt sorry for the Israelites. He wanted to help them lead better lives. One day, Moses committed a serious crime, and he was forced to escape from Egypt. He traveled through the desert for many days and eventually settled in Midian, far, far away. Moses got married to a local woman, and he led the life of a shepherd. One day, as usual, Moses was tending to some sheep on a hillside. It was then that God suddenly spoke to him. He hears a loud booming sound like thunder, and he sees that a bush has caught on fire. There is a semicircle of golden white light surrounding the bush, and Moses hears the voice of God.
Moses, I have something to tell you.
Who is that? I cannot see you.
I am Jehovah, the one true living God, the creator of all living and non-living things.
Why are you speaking to me, God?
Do not fear me. You are a good man, and I have a very important task that I need you to perform for me. I need you to free the people of Israel and lead them to the promised land.
Huh? Why have you chosen me? I'm just an ordinary person.
You have a good, strong heart, and you have great courage. You may think you are ordinary, but you will do extraordinary things. And Moses, do not worry. You are not alone. I will be with you every step of the way.
Why would they listen to me? How will they believe that you are with me?
I will give you the power to show signs that I am with you. Throw your stick to the ground.
When Moses threw the stick on the ground, it magically turned into a snake. Moses was now convinced, and he was ready to follow the orders of God. As you wish, my Lord, I will do as you say.
Ah, yes, Moses. We haven't seen you in some time now. What brings you here?
Ramos, I have come to speak on behalf of the Israeli slaves. They need to be freed. You cannot keep them prisoners like this. They are not slaves.
Oh, but they are, dear Moses. They will serve the kingdom of Egypt until they die. Every last one of them, until their very last breath.
Ramos, the God is with them. He has sent me to free these people. If you do not set the Israelites free, you will invite God's anger on you.
What God are you talking about? I have not heard of this God of yours. Why should I fear him?
He is the one true living God. He is all-powerful, and his anger can destroy your kingdom. Please free them now, so that you don't feel sorry later.
I do not believe in your God. He has no power in my kingdom. Show me a sign that your God exists.
Then Moses threw his stick on the ground, and it suddenly turned into a snake.
Ha ha ha! Nice trick.
The Pharaoh thought that this was just a trick, and he called his magicians. The court magicians arrived, and when they threw their sticks on the floor, their sticks transformed into snakes as well.
See? You can't fool me with the cheap magic tricks, Moses.
But then a miracle happened. Moses' snake started swallowing all the other snakes. The Pharaoh was terrified at first, but then he regained his composure.
That doesn't mean anything. It's just another magic trick. Your God is pitiful.
Release the Israelites to me now, and my God will show pity on you.
Leave at once, Moses. You're testing my patience now. Guards, escort him out at once.
I will leave, but I will be back. Like that, Moses visited the Pharaoh several times and tried to convince him to free the Israeli slaves. But the Pharaoh could not be convinced. One day, Moses went to the desert and asked God what he was supposed to do. God told Moses that he was going to punish the Egyptians. God sent the punishments one by one. First, he let a great flood that swallowed the whole city. Then he sent a devastating drought. Then he sent locusts that attacked the crops. Like that, God punished the Egyptians several times. In spite of all this, the Pharaoh was still not ready to free the Israelites.
Moses, why are you wasting our time like this? Whatever you or your so-called God says, I will not release the Israelites. They were born to serve this kingdom as slaves. Nothing can change that.
God wants the Israelites to be free. If you do not follow his will, he will release great plagues on you and your people. Do not punish yourself and your people with your stupidity. You have been warned many times. Now face God's anger. Moses then went to the Nile River and dipped his staff in the water. It was a miracle. The Nile water suddenly turned red, and it was blood. The fish died, and the water began to stink. The whole of Egypt was stinking by now. Finally, God killed all the firstborn children in Egypt, including the Pharaoh's son. This forced the Pharaoh to finally release the slaves. Moses went to the palace one last time.
Your God has killed my son and all the firstborns in Egypt. What kind of a God is this?
You brought this on yourself, Ramos. You have been warned so many times. So many signs were given to you, but you remained stubborn. You brought all this on your people. Stop this now and send the Israelites to their freedom.
Get out of my palace, Moses, and take your slaves with you. I do not want to see their faces again.
Moses quickly summoned them and led them all out of Egypt, but the Pharaoh changed his mind again. Moses had finally freed the people from the Pharaoh. The people were overjoyed that they had finally got their freedom, but their hardships were only beginning. They had to face many, many tough hurdles. A couple of days after Moses had led the Israelites out of Egypt, the Pharaoh changed his mind yet again and set his army after Moses to capture them. When Moses and his people arrived at the Red Sea, they had no idea how to cross the water. Pharaoh's army was fast approaching from behind, and the people were scared. God helped Moses again by dividing the sea and creating a path through it. Moses and his people walked through the seabed and crossed the Red Sea. But when Pharaoh and his army tried to cross the sea, the water came crashing upon them and killed all of them. The evil Pharaoh finally got the punishment he deserved. After crossing the Red Sea, Moses continued to lead the people. It was a long journey, and Moses took his people across the desert. The people were losing their patience. They started complaining to Moses.
Moses, we have been traveling for so long now. Will we ever reach the promised land?
Have faith in God. He has freed you from the Egyptians. Now he will lead you to your promised land.
So many people have died along the way, Moses. We were better off in Egypt as slaves of the Pharaoh. At least we could not have died of hunger and fatigue. A lot of children are also sick. We have so many old people who cannot walk with us. Should we watch our children die before our eyes? Is this what you promised? We should not have trusted you. You have led us into death.
I am saddened by your lack of trust. I have faith in my Lord. It is this faith that keeps me going forward. God is always with us. He will never leave us. Trust in Him, and you will not feel weak. And so they kept walking ahead through the desert. God kept watch over them. When there was nothing to eat in the desert and they were hungry, God showered a sweet bread known as manna on them. When they were thirsty, He gave them water from rocks. After many months of traveling through the desert, they arrived at the foot of Mount Sinai. This was where God had told Moses to bring the people. They camped at the foot of the mountain and decided to rest for a few days before continuing their journey across the desert. Moses told the people to stay at the bottom of the mountain, and he climbed up the mountain to speak to God. When he reached the mountaintop, God spoke to Moses. God spoke to Moses for 40 days and 40 nights. He finally gave Moses a stone tablet that described the 10 commandments that his people would have to follow for their entire lives. God gave the following commandments to Moses. 1. Thou shalt have no gods before me. 2. Thou shalt not make graven images. 3. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. 4. Remember to keep holy the Sabbath. 5. Honor thy father and thy mother. 6. Thou shalt not kill. 7. Thou shalt not commit adultery. 8. Thou shalt not steal. 9. Thou shalt not bear false witness. 10. Thou shalt not covet. God made these commandments to ensure that men and women lived in harmony and lived peaceful and happy lives.
A long time ago, the people of Israel were behaving very badly. They did not do what God wanted them to do, which made God very upset. They also did not want God to rule them. Finally, God decided to teach them a lesson and sent the Philistines to rule over them.
Well, they did not want to follow the path I have shown. Now they will see what happens.
The Philistines were very evil people and tormented and tortured the Israelites. However, though God was angry with the Israelites, He also loved them a lot and couldn't see them being tortured for long. God then decided that He would send a very strong Nazirite, one who would be dedicated to the Lord, to free the Israelites from the rule of the cruel Philistines. He chose a childless couple, Manoah and his wife, who lived in the city of Zorah. When God visited them and told them that soon a son would be born to them, they were overjoyed.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you so much for hearing our prayers.
Listen carefully, Manoah. The son who will be born to you will be very, very strong. But you have to make sure that his hair is never cut. He will free the Israelites from the evil Philistines.
As God had said, soon a son was born to Manoah and his wife. They named him Samson.
Look how beautiful and strong our son has grown up to be. His hair looks like the mane of a lion.
Yes, and as the Lord said, he is as strong as a lion.
Samson fell in love with a lady who was a Philistine. When he told his parents about it, they were very upset.
You know how the Philistines are, and still you want to marry one of them? What is wrong with you, son?
Just because she is a Philistine doesn't mean she has to be bad.
Manoah and his wife had no choice but to give in to Samson's wish, and they set about making arrangements for the marriage. However, Samson's mother was very sad.
Oh Lord, have mercy. We don't know how to convince our son not to marry a Philistine woman.
Before the marriage could take place, Samson realized that the woman he was about to marry had betrayed him. He became very angry and called off the wedding.
Thank the Lord, our prayers have been answered.
After some time, Samson visited the valley of Sorek. There he saw a woman named Delilah, with whom he immediately fell in love.
You are very lovely. I would like to marry you.
When the Philistines came to know about Samson's love for Delilah, they went to her.
We hear the mighty Samson has fallen in love with you. Is that true?
Yes, sir. He has told me so.
Well, then, we want you to do something for us.
Tell me, sir, what can I do for you? I will do my best to do as you desire.
We want to know the secret behind Samson's strength, so that it will be possible for us to defeat him.
I will try my best to find out, sir.
So one day, when Delilah saw that Samson was in a good mood, she asked him,
Everyone fears you, Samson. Tell me, what is the secret behind your success?
What do you want to know, dear Delilah?
I want to know everything about you. Is there anything wrong with that?
No, nothing wrong. Nothing wrong at all. Well, if I were to be tied up with fresh bowstrings which have not been dried, then my strength would be lost, and I would be like any other man.
Really? Let me try and see for myself. Come here. I am going to tie you up with fresh bowstrings.
Delilah quickly tied up Samson with bowstrings, and then shouted loudly so that the Philistine men who were hiding outside could hear.
Samson, look, the Philistines are coming.
Samson quickly got up and stretched. The bowstrings snapped as though they were made of cotton.
You lied to me. This shows that you do not love me.
No, Delilah. Of course I love you.
Delilah kept nagging Samson to tell her the secret of his strength all the time. Finally, Samson got fed up and told her,
My real strength lies in my hair. My life is dedicated to God, and I have never cut my hair. If my hair were to be cut, my strength would also go.
Are you really telling me the truth this time?
Yes, Delilah, that is the truth.
Delilah sent a message to the Philistines that night, telling them that she now knew the secret to Samson's strength. So when Samson slept that night, a Philistine man came quietly into his room and cut off his hair. This time, when Delilah shouted that the Philistines had come, Samson did not have the power to fight them.
Oh, I have been betrayed.
The Philistines took away Samson and put him in prison. The evil men even gouged his eyes out.
We have finally been able to subdue our enemy. No one can beat us now.
Blind Samson was made to grind grain in prison by the cruel Philistines. They enjoyed seeing him suffer.
The person I loved and trusted let me down. I will take my revenge. God, help me.
While in prison, Samson's hair slowly started growing back, and his strength also started returning, but the Philistines were not aware of it. Soon after, a feast was organized by the Philistines for offering a sacrifice to their god, Dagon.
Why don't we get Samson the Great to entertain us during the feast?
What a great idea! We shall see how strong he is now. Ha 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 ha!
The guards of the prison were instructed to bring Samson to the temple where the feast was being held.
Come on, Samson. Everyone is waiting for you to show them your great strength. Ha 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 ha! Oh God, just once more, please. give me my strength back. I have to pay these Philistines back for making me blind. I pray to thee, my Lord. Help me."
The guards led Samson to the temple where the feast was being held.
"You wait here. Let us go and check where they want you to perform."
The guard left Samson standing between the two main pillars on which the temple stood. Samson could hear a lot of noise. He understood that there were many people gathered in the temple. As he groped around with his hands, he felt the pillars on either side of him.
"Once again, I pray to thee, my Lord. Give me the strength to avenge the evil that the Philistines have done. I wish that I also should die along with them."
Samson positioned himself firmly between the pillars, spreading out his arms. He then used all the strength he had to push the pillars. When he did that, the pillars fell down, and the roof of the temple came crashing down, killing all the people inside. In this way, in one stroke, Samson killed more Philistines than he had in his entire life, though he also got killed in the process. When news of what had happened reached his family, his brothers and other members of his father's family rushed there.
Let us take our dear brother's body and give him a decent burial, which he deserves."
Samson's family took his body to Zorah and buried him between the towns of Zorah and Eshtaol, in the tomb where his father Manoah lay.